MLB announced that the Washington Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles have settled all pending litigation related to the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network, or MASN, as you may call it. Let me give you the quick backstory. When the Nationals came into existence, remember, they're the Montreal Expos. I was running the Expos when we sold the Expos. Not that I own them, but I made the Expos get sold to Major League Baseball, who then ran the Expos for a couple years and then sold the Expos to Ted Lerner and his family. Rest in peace, Ted. Miss you. The problem is that Washington was a territory that was controlled by Peter Angelos and the Baltimore Orioles. In order to pay Peter Angelos to allow a team to be in Washington, MLB under Bud Selig and then President Robert Dupay came up with a plan. And the plan was that we're going to start a regional sports network, but we're going to make it so it's owned and controlled by you, Peter Angelos, and the Baltimore Orioles. And then we're going to make the Washington Nationals become your client. We're going to give all 162 Nationals games to the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. And we're going to do it at a discount. So you're going to be printing money. And remember, back then, in 2004, 2005, every team was printing money over its local deals. And now here we are 20 years later. 20 years later, MASN is worth the piece of paper on which the deal was printed. The Nationals and the Orioles have been fighting both within baseball and in the courts because the Nationals felt as though they were not getting the proper fair market value for their rights. And the Orioles were not paying them fair market value. And it ended up being litigation both within baseball and outside. Part of the litigation settled. Part of it was ongoing because the reality is that the Washington Nationals are a team that's for sale, and no one was buying the Nationals at the price the Lerner family wanted because no one was able to value the TV rights because there was fighting, there was litigation, there was uncertainty. And that level of uncertainty has a quashing impact on the price of the underlying asset. Since Rob Manfred became commissioner, and this, we don't have time on this show, but we should do a whole show about how Rob became commissioner and how the final vote needed to get Rob to be commissioner came from the Washington Nationals, and how Ted Lerner would not vote for Rob Manfred, and how a deal was done behind closed doors in order to get the Nationals to vote for Rob Manfred, and that's how he became commissioner. The thought was that there would be 10 years ago a settlement with MASN that would accrue to the benefit of the Lerners and of the Nationals. It never came until yesterday. Why is it that all the litigation was settled? Have you ever had an argument with somebody, and then by the time you settle the argument, the whole reason for the argument has disappeared? So, for example, arguing what to do on a Saturday night. Why would you keep arguing on a Sunday morning about it when Saturday night has passed? Now, Saturday night can be all right for fighting, but by the time you wake up Sunday, don't bother. What's there to fight about with the Nats and the Orioles? Because the value of MASN, the ability for a regional sports network to pay a rights fee that a team thinks it wants and deserves, those days are done. So now, the Nationals have settled all litigation. They've dismissed all litigation against the Orioles, against MASN. Baseball doesn't have to worry about this anymore. And guess what the settlement was? They will stay one more year on MASN, 2025. And then the Nationals are free to find their own broadcast partner. They've been released from the shackles of the Angelos family that's now David Rubenstein. They've been released from any obligation under MASN because part of buying the Nationals is that they had to be a partner of MASN, a client of MASN forever and a day. Freedom, free at last. And then you look out on the frontier and you say, my God, I now have freedom in a community where it's Mad Max and I got to go fight for water. One more thing about this is that the Nationals are now going to come out and tell you that they couldn't be happier that they're done with MASN. They did it in a press release. They're excited for one more year. And now they're going to come out and say that we're going to get wider distribution and more people in DC are going to get to watch our games. And they're going to go to the next playbook that all teams are using by saying we're going to have some over-the-air games and everything's going to be sweet, nice, and dandy, except the value of the Nationals is not where the Lerner family wants it to be, because now it's clear to any prospective buyer that, wow, the revenue that we thought existed doesn't exist. And then the phone is going to ring and the Lerner family is going to pick up and it's going to be Ted Leonsis, the owner of the Capitals, the Wizards, who has that TV network called Monument. Remember, we've talked all about what they're doing in DC and what Ted was trying to do, getting a new arena, then doing a deal to stay in DC, the whole package. The real play is this network that he's running. Do not be surprised if Ted Leonsis buys the Nationals, and don't be surprised if all Nationals games starting in 26 are on Monumental Network. I'm totally losing it, Coke. Is it Monument or Monumental? I don't want to get it wrong. And for some reason, they both sound right to me. One of them is right. Is it Monument Sports Network? Monumental Sports Network? Monumental. Thank you, Coca. Don't be surprised if in 2026 you see the Nationals on Monumental Sports Network and owned by Ted Leonsis. As a matter of fact, Coca, can we do a wait to see? When we tell you something's going to happen, if it does, great. If it doesn't, fine. I'm going to give you a wait to see. In 2026, the Washington Nationals will have a deal with Monumental Sports Network. Wait to see.